There's a phrase that I like, which is be careful what you ask for, you just might get it. So with Moscow Police Department, I requested per their form online, all information related to Idaho 4, including all of the body worn camera, the images of the victims, all of the reports, the 911 call, all of that stuff, because it was nice and easy to grab. They made it super easy. And I knew when I asked, it wasn't going to be that easy. Check out the response in this video. Now, I want to take a minute to show you, I'm learning as I go to be an investigative journalist and try to get my chops up to speed. I haven't done some of the stuff that I'm doing lately ever in my life. And so I'm learning how to do it. And one of the things I want to do on this channel is I want to educate you on how the process works so that you yourself could do it if you're so inclined. So I'm going to show you and educate you as I do the process that I followed to try to get the documents related to the Idaho 4, the murder investigation. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull up for you this nice little handy form that they provided us. Let me put it on screen for you. Here it is. This is from City of Moscow. You can see their logo up in the corner. They had a form here for requesting Moscow Police Department public record request. Simple and easy. Here's how you request it. You fill out your name, you fill out your address, all these things. Are you a resident of Idaho? Yes or no? If you mark no, like me, who lives in Oregon, for example, you get told, by the way, that there's going to be a delay on your documents. Because, for example, if you live in Idaho, they have a response time of 3 days to get you your request. If you live outside of that days, I think it's 31 or 35 days that they're supposed to have to get you the information. So I submitted my request. The first thing that happened, by the way, when I filled out this form is I got an email saying, we're sorry, you have to provide that with a case number. Even though I said it's Idaho 4, I described the event, I gave the date, I gave the time, I gave the city, everything else. But there was one line on here, see this right here? Case number. I didn't have the case number. I didn't know what the case number was. So I checked. Look at what I checked. I certified that I want all these things. I gave them my signature. I said, I'll take it in email or in person. I said, I want the police reports and the case number I left blank. I wanted the attached documents. I wanted all attached documents, all photographs, all video recordings, all audio recordings, all of this stuff. I checked it all. Why wouldn't I check it all? But what I didn't do is I didn't give the case number because I made that mistake. And then in the description, I typed in, I'm looking for all records pertaining to the murders at 1122 King Road residence on November 13th, 2022, blah, 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 blah. I gave them the dates, the times, all that stuff like that. And I'm looking for all that information. Thank you very much. And by the way, I'll come and get it in person if you would like, or, you know, if you want me to bring a thumb drive. I even gave them some additional stuff. And I gave them my email address for my company. I hit send and I thought to myself, it can't be that easy. Well, fuck no, it's not that easy, because my first email from Moscow Police Department was, we're sorry, you need to fill out that form in its entirety, i.e. you didn't have a case number. So fuck, I go through documents and I look for things and I try to find stuff, and I talk to some people online and they have a different number, and I have incident numbers, but I don't have a case number. And finally I found what I thought was a case number. I think you still got it in my pre-populated stuff down here, CR29-22-2805. I think that's the one that I used. Anyways, so I resubmit it. And I wait a day or two, and then I get a response. We're sorry. This request must be done in writing. And then I'm thinking to myself, well, shit, is that not what this is? Did I not just type all this out in writing? I didn't just call you on the phone. I filled out a form online. I hit submit. It's where you say, hit submit. So I submitted it again. Came back with another thing. You must do this in writing. So I'm thinking, fuck, you literally mean I have to print this out and mail you a copy? That's what I thought. But to my surprise and my excitement, today I checked my mail again on my email and I found that Moscow Police Department has responded. They did finally respond to my request for all that documentation on their super easy form. And I thought I would take a moment to read to you the beauty of this letter from the Moscow Police Department. Now, it's a little lengthy. It's a form letter. And let me tell you this, I struggled with this for a moment. I thought, you know, I don't want to create a rift between myself and the Moscow Police Department, because if I ever want to get an officer on my channel, for example, to explain some things to us, because again, at the end of the day, we just want the truth. It's not about placing blame. I just want the truth. So if I ever want to have an opportunity to have an officer from MPD come on to my show, Moscow Police Department, maybe I need to not call them out and make them look like idiots. However, And by the way, and if this letter to me, this response to my request for all these documents had been personal, where they said something about this is confidential or personal or whatever, I wouldn't be sharing it. However, this is the public records email. It's a response to my public records request. And I thought I would share it with you so that you can learn a thing or two. Now, spoiler alert, what they said at the end of the day is my request, the amount of documents that I'm requesting, is too much for a simple request. It would take somewhat of 300 man hours to do. And so therefore, they would like $20,000 from me as a guarantee. Now, actually, as a guarantee, they'll take $10,000 up front right now, and the other $10,000 or so upon receipt once they get their officers working on it. So apparently that's their answer to me, is that for 20 grand, I can have what I want, or I can revise my request and ask for less information. Now, here's the funny thing. I'm sure lots of media outlets have already requested this information. How many times can the same people do the 300-hour man hours that are required that they're saying I need to pay for? Oh, your request is going to take approximately 300 man hours. And so therefore, we need you to pay for all of that time to put together the reports you asked for at the tune of $20,000. Well, that's all great and dandy, but how many times are those same 300 people going to get paid those same man hours because TV stations have requested it and got it? Didn't they already pay you? How many times are you going to get paid for the same thing? What am I missing? Now, I have been told, and maybe I'm wrong, that the first person who requests this probably had to pony it up. And if you're a television station with a lot of money, if that's the case, and I don't know if television stations have that kind of money, but if television stations have a lot of excess money and 20 grand is chicken scratch, they probably paid $20,000 to get those files sent to them. And once they do that, it is my understanding the 300 man hours have been paid for. And therefore, when I come along and say, hey, can I get a copy as well? I'm not going to get charged for the same 300 hours to put it together because somebody already did that and they already paid the 20 grand. No, it looks like to me, everyone's getting a form letter saying, that's going to cost about $20,000, and we'll take $10,000 up front. By the way, I have 7 days to provide $10,000, or they'll consider this case closed. Or I could revise my request and ask for a lot less. Now, what they're not going to tell me is how much less do I have to ask for and how much is that going to cost me? So that's got to be something I submit over and over again. So this is an educational process for you. I wanted to give you the inside scoop. You may not find this interesting, and so I'm just going to read a letter, maybe comment. I'll try not to rant too much. Again, I'm not trying to make enemies at MPD. I'm trying to educate the public on how it works. If you had gone and requested this stuff like I did, this is my learning curve. Be careful what you ask for. You might get a bill for $20,000. Well, it's not a bill because they didn't start the work. All right. So here it is, Moscow Police Department Public Records Request right at the top. This is from the City of Moscow Public Records. There's their email address, which is publicrecords@ci.moscow.id.us. And it's to me, right? So, hello. The city has received your request for records related to the state of Idaho versus Brian Koberger, Latah County, case number CR 2922-2805. I did get the case number right. By the way, thank you. I can't even remember the YouTuber who gave me the case number. Somebody out there said, I think you're going to need this case number. But they also refer to two other case numbers because, by the way, I had the 22-M099003 that you're going to see in this letter as well. I actually submitted two forms, one with the first number, CR 29-22-2805, that someone told me I didn't use, and another, the MPD Moscow Police Department case number. So there's the confusion. Listen to this. There's three different cases here. Latah County case number, that is CR 29-22-2805. The Ada County case number, which is a different number, CR 01-24-31665, and the Moscow Police Department case number, which is its own number, 22-M09903. So they told me I needed all three. I only had a form. I only had an option for one. So I submitted twice. I didn't even know what the third option. Are you following me so far? This is an educational process. So Latah County was what I asked for with the CR29. I also asked for MPD, the 22-M09903. I didn't ask for Ada County, but they're telling me I'm also asking for Ada County's number, and here's their number. Let's continue on. Due to the increased volume of public records requests, the substantial number of records you are requesting, and the city's legal obligation to review and determine if there are exemptions from release of the requested records, the city will need a longer period of time to locate, retrieve, review, and prepare the requested records for public release. It may take the city more than 35 days to obtain this information, conduct a review, and provide it to you. Now, what does that mean? There is a legal requirement on their part to respond within 35 days. That's what I'm reading on that. So they say if you're an Idaho resident, we have a legal requirement per our state legislation, I'm going to guess, to respond to an Idaho request within 3 days. If it's outside of Idaho, we have a legal requirement per our state legislation, I'm going to guess, of responding within 35 days. But what they're letting me know is they can't fulfill that because I'm asking for too much. That's their essential legal. Sorry, I know we have a legal obligation. That's what I'm interpreting. I don't know. I didn't look up. By the way, I didn't look up that they have a legal obligation, but I'm thinking that's what they're saying. We've got a legal obligation to respond within 35 days. However, you're asking for too much. Now, the problem again with this whole scenario is people have already started in the media to get the crime scene photos. So you've already paid. Somebody's already paid to see them. So don't tell me that it's anyways. That's where I'm going. I'm trying not to rant. Let's go on. To the extent your request is seeking records that were created or produced by other law enforcement and government entities, including but not limited to the Idaho State Police, Latah County Sheriff's Office, Latah County Prosecutor's Office, Pennsylvania State Police, Federal Bureau of Investigation, Pullman Police Department, University of Idaho, and Washington State University, that portion of your request for other agencies and entities' records is denied. Requests for those records must be submitted directly to the respective custodian of each agency. The city is also not a custodian of the court filings. Well, I don't recall asking for that. I don't recall ever asking for the FBI files. I didn't ask for Pennsylvania State Police. I didn't ask for Latah County Prosecutor's Office. I did not ask for any of that shit. Now, this is a form letter. They sent this out to everyone. So I did not ask. I did not ask for any of the shit that they told me your request for that kind of information has been denied. No. I asked for a case number related to, I thought, MPD, but it turned out to be both MPD and Latah County. But I asked for that. That's what I asked for. So them telling me that you're asking also for the Sheriff's Office, Idaho Police, Pennsylvania Police, FBI. No, I did not ask for that. But that part's been rejected anyways. That's not part of the $20,000. Think of how much money I would have to pay if I wanted to get that information from Pennsylvania and from the FBI. So again, unless you guys want to start donating a fuck ton of money, we're not getting these records, at least not in this form. Now, the city may charge for the city's actual cost. This is where they're telling you, hey, we've got an obligation to respond. However, we're allowed to, so they're going to tell, we're allowed to charge you money. So the city may charge for the city's actual cost for any public record request from a requester who is not a resident or employee of a resident as defined by Idaho code. And those, and it gives the code. The city charges per Idaho code and it gives a number. So what they're saying is because I'm not from Idaho, I have to pay, I guess, more. I don't know if Idaho themselves have to pay it all. So sucks for me. Some people said there was a workaround, and I'll tell you the workaround, but I'm not going to do it. Maybe you get a PO box in Idaho and it looks like you live in Idaho, and then you can say you're an Idaho resident. You're lying, of course. You're not an Idaho resident. You just have a PO box there, but that's some people's idea of a workaround. I haven't gotten to the point yet where I try to do shitty games like that. Although maybe that's why I won't be a great investigator and why I'm going to spend my time reading what other people get for me, because I'm not going to pay 20 grand or lie to say I'm in Idaho when I'm not, because I just fucking don't roll that way. So again, I may be a shitty investigator, but at least I'm a decent orator. So there's that. All right. Notwithstanding any provision of law to the contrary, a public agency or public official may charge fees for labor, copying costs associated with locating, copying documents that are requested by a person who is not a resident or employee of a resident. So I guess they're saying I'm only having to pay because I don't live in Idaho. They're making it sound like if you're in Idaho, you get this for free. Is that the case? Maybe that's the case. Maybe the TV stations, maybe that's the answer. Maybe the TV stations that have gotten it so far live in Idaho. They're Idaho TV stations, and that's how they've gotten it. But apparently, because I live in Oregon, it's going to cost me $20,000. The fee rates and schedule for requested requests made by persons who are not residents or employees or residents shall be at the discretion of the public agency or public official, as long as such fees do not exceed actual costs of the public agency or public official. So what they're saying is we get to put whatever fucking number we want on your request that we want, as long as it's reasonable and doesn't exceed our actual cost. But of course, you're not going to get to do bookkeeping with them and say, okay, how much does officer so-and-so who filled out that paperwork make? And how much does officer so-and-so make? And what does the clerk make? And let me add all that up and make sure you're not charging anything more. No, they're going to set a price that they decide you should pay and say that as long as it doesn't exceed our actual cost. But who's going to hold their shit accountable? Again, I'm trying to educate you on how this is going in real life, in my opinion. Your request is for a substantial number of records that will generate a significant cost to you. We are unable to provide you a detailed cost estimate at this time. So, by the way, this is a universal translator. This is going to cost a shit ton of money. Are you prepared? Buckle up. This is just an estimate. And sweetheart, you don't have that kind of money. So basically what we're telling you is fuck off. You don't have that kind of money. So here's what it's going to cost. We are unable to provide you a detailed cost estimate at this time, but based on the broadness of your request, it'll take more than 300 hours of city staff time to process, which will cost you in excess of $20,000. If you would like to revise your request to provide more specifically the records that you're seeking and identify the records you would like us to prioritize, we will put a more refined estimate cost together for you. The records available to you for the fee are located. So the records available to you for fee are located on the city's website and contains all the Moscow PD police reports at Moscow, Idaho investigation link, blah, 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 blah. If you choose to move forward with the current request pursuant to Idaho section 74-10212, we are requiring a deposit of 1/2 of the estimated cost in order to begin review of your request, with the balance due prior to information being released. So $20,000 is our estimate. They needed half of that right now, $10,000. So I've got 7 days to pony up $10,000. And if so, then they'll start working on it. And then the estimate it'll be around $20,000 when they're done. That's not a promise. It could go higher than that, but that's what they're going to say. Give us at least half what we think it's going to cost. And we think it's going to cost you $20,000 to meet your request. You may contact the city clerk to arrange for that payment. Fucking fantastic. If you would like to modify your request, please submit the modified request per this email address, and we will provide you with a new cost estimate. Should we not hear from you or receive payment within 7 days of sending this letter, we will consider this request withdrawn. Thank you, City of Moscow Public Records team. Very, very nice of you. How many people do you get to charge $20,000 to from out of state? How many people do you get to do that to? If somebody already did it, if CNN comes to you and they want Idaho's whole record of stuff and they pay you $20,000 because they got the money, do I also have to pay you $20,000? And Bob down the street has to pay you $20,000, and Sally has to pay you $20,000. Like, how many people have to pay you $20,000? Shithole answer, in my opinion. Now, having said that, again, I'm not trying to make enemies with Moscow Police Department. What I am trying to do is try to educate the public. If you do what I did, if you do what I did, and you go to their website and you fill out this form, and you check all the boxes, yeah, I want it all. I want police report, attached documents, photographs, videos, recordings, all these. I want all radio traffic, and I want it from 1122 King Road residents that night, the murder, blah, blah, blah. And if you do that, $20,000, $10,000 up front. So there you go. You've got an education on how that process worked. I failed. I'm learning how to be an investigator. That shit's not going to work. I don't even know how to refine it to the point of. So what I might do tomorrow, is I might request just the crime scene photos. That's what I'm going to see what they're going to charge me for the crime scene photos. Forget the 911 calls, forget the body worn camera. Let's just ask for crime scene photos, maybe. Or maybe I'll ask for the body worn camera. I don't know. But the point being is that I suspect it's going to be a hefty tune. I suspect it's going to take a long time. I suspect we're going to get a runaround. But hey, somebody's doing it. Media outlets have cash to pony up. So maybe they just pay for it. And maybe they even do an expedited run. Maybe they get an affiliate in Idaho State to do these requests so they can get it even faster. I would imagine that's the case. I'm learning as we go. Thanks for watching The Devil's Advocates. Please like, subscribe, hit the notification bell so that you're notified when I go live and all those things. Hopefully you are enjoying the content I provided. And by the way, I've heard there's like another 600 pages of documents that have been released by the Moscow Police Department. And I have fatigue in Idaho 4. I don't know if I want to read through another. I did 19 hours of audios for you breaking down the first police report, whatever you want to call it. I'm trying to find that word. The dump that the Moscow Police Department dumped on you. I did 19 hours of videos and I was moving pretty fast. Other people did it even longer. I have fatigue in this case. I don't want to read another 600 pages, every line to you that I found was interesting, which I'm sure I'll find it interesting. So I'm trying to decide where I'm at with this case right now. Because right now it's a shitstorm. Right now it's not going to change much because Brian Koberger is running out of time to file an appeal. And it doesn't look like he's going to file an appeal. This is going to be the end of the case. How much? I'm certainly not going to pay $20,000 to get the records on this case. And how much are we going to keep reading through documents that are still, by the way, the other 600 pages that I saw Brian Enton do recently, because he was doing his little thing about it. It's still redacted. It's still redacted. We still don't have the actual names. You have to guess at names. I did that for 19 hours. I'm not doing it again. All right. I said goodbye a long time ago. I really mean it this time. Fucking goodbye. Sorry for the F-bomb on the way out. Have a good day.